Raise your hand if a medical affairs fire drill has ever ruined your week. I know that there is a lot that can differ about the MSL role from company to company, but fire drills are universal and often can take you out of what you had planned for that week and eat up a bunch of time as you search through disparate sources of data to get the information required of you and requested from leadership. But have no fear. Today we're going to be talking about how you can take a fire drill and turn it into a win and a way to show your impact.
Yeah, so stick around. It's going to be awesome. I'm Patrina, the creator of Medical Affairs Strategy Hacks, a YouTube channel dedicated to helping MSLs in medical affairs demonstrate their value. And we are joined again by official co-host Catherine Sunderland on this really great topic around fire drills. You know, that's really stressful, annoying situation where all of a sudden your boss or the leadership needs something. They need it immediately. And it totally throws your whole week off. Catherine, do you have any good examples of what happens with this or kind of the stress that it leads to?
Absolutely. So I can give you a couple examples. One that we hear about a lot in the field is how many times have you used this specific resource? Do we need to retire it? So it'll come with certain cycles when things are up for renewal, or it'll be how many insights do you have on a particular topic? And that's why we brought up, you need to have been tracking this in the whole time to be able to pull upon this really quickly without it getting in the way of your time and what you had planned.
Yes, so she is alluding to our really awesome tip for you, and this is to create a monthly impact report. And the topics that you should include on that will depend on your particular team and where you are in the product lifecycle and all of those things. But the idea behind this is that on a monthly basis, you track your major impact items. Catherine, add on here, what are things that people should be including in their monthly impact reports?
Sure. So let's start big and then we can get a little bit more detailed. So one thing I always recommend is pull out the top maybe 2 or 3 insights from across your KOL interactions. What was the main takeaway that you heard that month? And so to get into a little bit more granularity with that, how many face-to-face interactions did you have? How many virtual? How many were spent with a particular type of KOL if you cover multiple disease states? So that's kind of just about your activity, but then going into what we talked about, what were your top resources that you used? And get as specific as you can. What slide deck did you use? What setting did you use it in? And then how did those activities align with the strategic pillars that were pushed out from the medical directors and headquarters?
That is beautiful. And think about this, guys. You have a meeting with your manager. Let's say I'm talking about not even a fire drill situation. You have a meeting with your manager. You can come with a nice little report saying, here's all my activities for the month and how I align to strategy. Catherine, do you think some MSL managers would just drool all over that?
Absolutely. I can't tell you, I was just, as you were talking, I was thinking about some of the frustrations that some managers feel when they're trying to pull reports from CRMs. Because as we know, those data can sometimes be not the easiest to pull down, but it gets to the nitty gritty of why they're looking for those results in the first place. So absolutely, it's going to help everyone.
Do you have any tips for folks that implement this tip and start doing a monthly impact report, how to make that process easy? Because in a sense, couldn't the monthly impact report itself be a fire drill if you feel like all of a sudden I've got to fill this all out?
It could be. So I feel like we talk about this a lot, but just make it consistent. So come up with don't start with a blank sheet of paper every month. You want to think about the categories that would be most important to your role and follow that same, I'll use the word template each month. So you could either come up with this by yourself or, as you all know, Patrina and I have a passion for creating templates to help out MSLs. So of course we have a monthly impact template that you could also check out.
Yeah, and that was kind of a trick question for Catherine, because as you guys remember, we did a post recently on planning your ideal week. So a really good tip to implement a monthly impact report is to include time each week to fill it out, because
Mhm.
you won't remember at the end of the month, what you did in the beginning of the month anyways. I'll link that hack for you as well. And as Catherine mentioned, we have a really awesome MSL monthly impact report with a lot of the things that we just recommended. And you can check that out on Etsy, the Medical Affairs shop. And any last tips or pieces of advice that people might want to consider when thinking about using this monthly impact report tip?
Yes. So we just talked about worst case scenario, right? We talked about fire drills, but there are other benefits to reflecting each month on your work. I think you brought this up at the beginning. Burnout is real with MSLs. We're in the
Absolutely.
field constantly. We're traveling. We're tired. We have to do expense reports. It can be really easy in certain seasons to get disillusioned or caught up in the day to day. What's really helpful and a good, what do you say, output of a monthly impact is you're going to be able to see your impact every month and get remotivated and be
Yes.
able to see the difference that you're actually making in your field. So that's one. Two, another thing that isn't necessarily a fire drill because we know it's coming every year, but for some reason, year-end reviews, every time they come up, they're like, oh, I don't know what to put in this. Like, how do I talk
Yes.
about
Yes.
myself? Pull it from your monthly impact reports. And there is a line in our template where you do say, this was my impact in my field this month. That's a great thing to immediately go and add to your CV to keep it up to date too.
Yeah.
So
So
there's 3 extra benefits that have nothing to do with fire drills, but it's there for you and you need it then too.
the CV tip is such a great one because I think we're all guilty of that, where we're like, all of a sudden we need to update our CV.
Mhm.
And then it's such a pain in the butt. Maybe another
Yeah.
fire drill. Nobody likes to do that. But if you have several months worth of impact reports for you to pull from, you can start taking those to create the bullet points for your job.
Exactly.
So that's very powerful. Well, thank you, Catherine, so much. I really appreciate having you again. And again, check out the MSL Impact Report on Etsy. It's a really awesome template. And also go over to the Medical Affairs Value blog. Catherine and I have more tips like this to help you demonstrate your impact. I also have a newsletter that gives you a nice little summary of all the content I produce on a weekly basis. You can get that right to your inbox every Monday morning. Thanks again, Catherine. Thanks everybody for listening.
Bye.